Hello and welcome everyone. I hope this message finds you fit and fine. We are in video number 45 of our Lakshmikant series contest, and today we need to talk about PIL, Public Interest Litigation. In previous class I mentioned that PIL is a manifestation of judicial activism. I hope you remember, right? Now what is PIL actually? Let's divide this word into two parts. One is litigation. Consider you are having dispute with someone and your private interests are being compromised, and that is why you file a litigation in court. The core of your litigation is your own private interest. You cannot call it public interest litigation. But there's a second case. You're filing a litigation for poor. You're filing a litigation for rights of some ethnic religious minorities. You're filing a case in court for the interest of consumers. Now, focus is not just you. Focus is a section. Focus is interest, general interest of public. Right? So that is why we can call now the second case, the second litigation as public interest litigation, right? And why public interest litigation is important? My friends, you know that every person living in our society is not aware about his, her rights, right? Even if some people, some sections are aware, they're not having enough resources. They don't know the way so that they can actually ensure their rights are protected. So that is why we need some good Samaritans, people who know the way, right? So they can file petition on their behalf. That is why PIL is important. This concept actually developed in USA, and purpose was to give legal representation to underrepresented, unrepresented sections like poor, consumers, like I gave example, environmentalists, etc. Legal representation. What does it mean? You know that our nation works on law, means constitution is the fundamental law, right? And constitution has given certain rights. Constitution has also given certain obligations to the state, means government authorities. And if they are not doing their job well, don't you think there should be something in this regard? And how can we ensure such action? So judicial activism becomes important in this particular scenario. And that is why in previous class I told you, when legislative or executive branch fails to fulfill their responsibility, then judicial activism becomes a necessity. In case of India, Mr. V.R. Krishna Iyer and Mr. P.N. Bhagwati, Justice P.N. Bhagwati, they were regarded as the people who forged this idea of PIL in Indian context. Apart from word PIL, we have other names as well. Social action litigation, social interest litigation, class action litigation. Okay, so these are actually other names of PIL. Now what is the meaning of PIL? You have understood the meaning? To summarize it, PIL constitutes a legal action initiated in court, right? You have filed the litigation, it means legal action initiated in court, and the purpose is for safeguarding general interest, right? Not just your private interest. Now this PIL as a concept was defined in which case? It was SP Gupta versus Union of India case. Please remember, UPSC can ask a direct factual kind of question as well as UPSC can make a statement. Okay, one statement would be on the case in which it was defined, and other statement would be on condition, or you can say guideline with respect to PIL. Okay, so real purpose of PIL is to ensure rule of law. This nation should be run with law, right? No one is above law. Second, access to justice to these poor people, or you can say socially or economically poor people. Then meaningful realization of fundamental rights. So it means you need to remember 3 points: rule of law, access to justice, fundamental rights. For these, PIL becomes important, right? Now, public interest litigation in India is to be linked with what? Come on. It's like a basic question. Judicial activism, I've just told you, right? PIL is a tool or manifestation of judicial activism. Feature of PIL, number one, it is like a strategic arm for legal aid movement. Legal aid movement, as I told you, some people are not having enough legal representation, lack of knowledge, lack of awareness. Even if they are aware, they don't have enough resources, they don't understand the way. So that is why PIL becomes a legal aid movement, giving legal support to these people. It is different from other litigations. As I told you, there can be private litigation as well. Example number one, Example number 2 was public interest litigation. PIL brought before court with the intention to promote and vindication of public interest. Purpose is public interest. Constitutional legal rights need to be protected. This remains a focus of PIL, right? PIL is essentially cooperative effect. So what is cooperative? When PIL is being filed, you should not consider that this is other litigation. In other litigation, there may be two warring parties who are engaging in conflict. But the idea of PIL is that court is doing its duty, the person who has filed PIL is doing his or her duty, and state is going to perform his or her duty. Means government is going to perform their own duty. So it means when all three work in tandem, then only you can actually do the work which is needed. So that is why PIL is essentially a cooperative effort. Now, purpose is to ensuring public duty. Means if government has not done something, then government should do that. Protecting social, collective, diffuse rights, interest, right? Now, there's another point here. There's a difference between public and private, right? So, public interest litigation is not going to pronounce judgment in lieu of some individual right, right? Purpose is to talk about what are the rights of public and what has not been done and what should be done now. Such directions are given. Now, which one of the following case Supreme Court gave direction to end child labor? So it was Bandhua Mukti Morcha versus Union of India. Again, I am saying this is factual, but UPSC can ask question by multiple statement. One statement is going to be. Now, scope of PIL. In what cases PIL can be filed? So, Supreme Court has given some guidelines with regard to this, and these guidelines have modified in time also. One is bonded labor. It means your PIL can be on the basis of bonded labor. Second, if labor laws are not being implemented in letter and spirit by some employer, then in that case, there can be a case of PIL. Second, jail. It means if basic human rights are being abridged in jail, it may be for speedy trial for fundamental right. So, the petitions from jail can be considered one case of PIL. Again, petition against police, not filing FIR, harassment by police, judicial, you can say death in custody, right? So these are the cases of, you can say, PIL on the basis of police, against police. Petition against atrocities of women, against women. You must have heard about this, that there was no law before Vishaka guidelines were pronounced by Supreme Court with regard to sexual harassment of women at workplace. So it means issue was there. In India, we have skewed sex ratio in our jobs. Women are less in number in formal sector. And one reason is sexual harassment at workplace, right? No effective law in that regard. So in this case, Supreme Court actually pronounced the judgment. And later, Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013 came into play, right? So these petitions become important. Then it may be a petition on the basis of for rights of SCs, STs, or economically weaker section, economically backward classes. Petition for environment or family or pension, etc. Now, in which court PIL can be filed? It can be filed in High Court as well as Supreme Court. So answer is both. Principles of PIL. For Supreme Court, High Court, they can exercise their power under Article 32, Article 226 in this regard. Means any interested person can file this PIL for disadvantages section. If court found that there has been serious gaps when it comes to protection of fundamental rights or state not performing constitutional duties, in this regard also, court can even accept your PIL via letter or telegram. If court found that large section of people, there has been some injustice. For example, in case of rights, there were allegations that district administration acted in biased manner. In this case, court can invoke these provisions under Article 14, Article 21, equality before law, right to life and personal liberty. If court found that yes, violation of constitutional right of a group of people happened, in this case, it may not allow the state or government from raising the question as to maintainability of the petition. The state cannot say that we are raising our voice against maintainability of this petition. It is not worthy to be discussed. Court will say, we will decide whether it is worthy or not you. Because this petition is going to have implication against your functioning. It is going to bring gaps in your functioning. Dispute between two warring groups purely in realm of private law would not be allowed to be agitated as PIL. But please understand, UPSC can play here. A statement can be made, dispute between two warring groups and a litigation in this regard cannot be considered as PIL. Tell me, the second statement which I have just said is true or false? It is false. Because it may be possible a litigation between two warring groups may have some orientation, may have some angle of public interest. If this is the case, then it can be considered as PIL. But if only it is focused on private motive, then it won't be considered as PIL. Court in special situation may appoint commission also to investigate. Court would ordinarily not step out of the known areas of judicial review. High Court though may pass an order for doing complete justice to the parties. Now let me explain what is complete justice here. And in case of Supreme Court Article 142, UPSC in prelims has actually made one question specifically on this. It may be possible that state, means legislature or executive, they have not made a law in a particular area. And some people are getting impacted due to this. Now court, when pronouncing judgment, may issue a decree which may have power of law, which is going to have power of law. So in this case, for giving complete justice, court can act in this manner. For example, Vishaka guidelines case, I mentioned, right? Sexual harassment of women at workplace. So this law came way later in 2013, but Vishaka guidelines came earlier. So this is point number 7. Now guidelines for admitting PIL. PIL is not a pill or panacea. It is not the ultimate solution for all the wrongs which we are observing in our system, right? It was essentially meant to protect basic human rights of the weak and disadvantaged. It is just a way so that we can actually work, but it is not like now every other branch should actually lay their arms, okay, PIL is there. No. Public spirited person file a petition before the court for poverty, helplessness, economic, social disabilities, and there have been recent times increasingly instances of abuse of PIL. So now our topic of discussion is abuse of PIL. When people use PIL just to actually, you can say, add hurdle to the working of some other person. It may be government functionary. So Supreme Court laid the following guidelines for checking the misuse of the PIL. So it may be against private person also, it may be against industries, it may be against government. So it is said that some people are actually doing this as a profession. First they file PIL, when they create some legal hurdles against other person, then they will take money from that person, and that's how they settle the matter. So it means precious time of judiciary is being misused by these faulty PILs, right? And judiciary is well aware of this, and that is why they have issued guidelines. Encourage genuine and bona fide PIL. Bona fide PIL means on affidavit you accept, here this is the truth. If it is found that you have, there has been mismatch in what you said and what is the reality, and you knew that, so then action can be leveled against you. The court should prima facie verify the credentials of the petitioner also. Instead of every individual judge devising his own procedure for dealing with PIL, it would be appropriate if court itself actually standardize this process. Means court should accept PILs in an orderly manner, and high priority should be given on larger public interest, urgency and gravity issues. Court before entertaining PIL must aim at redressal of genuine public harm and public injury. No personal gain, private motive should be there. Court should also ensure that petition filed by busybodies or extraneous or ulterior motives should not be actually given chance as well as discouraged. So when I say discourage, it means fine can be a way of discouraging such PILs. Which one of the following will not be entertained as PIL? Come on. Petitions of early hearing, case pending in High Court, obviously it is not going to be. So it means not. So it means this is the answer. You cannot file a PIL that my case is pending and please actually give me an early date. Although riot, neglected children, forest and wildlife, these all can be considered as cases of PIL. So I hope this particular part is clear to you now, right? So see you in the next video. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. This PDF will be available in Shashank Tyagi for you Telegram group. If you find any doubt, any question which is creating some problem for you, You can shoot me a message on my personal Telegram, shashank.powerbean. I'll be happy to help you out.